Swashbucklers, you're listening to Under the Crossbones, episode number 193, brought to you today by Scuba Wise and Pirate Radio The Treasure Coast. My name is Phil Johnson. I'm your host for the show and the ship's extrusion operator, here for you each and every week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling your friends, visiting sponsors, sending donations, all the cool stuff that you do. It helps me keep the old boat afloat. I appreciate it. Got a really fun show for you today with Eric Mueller from Pirates Press. We'll talk more about him in a second. First, a fun fact about the number 193 for episode number 193. On March 28th of the year 193, so we're all the way back in Roman Empire days, all right, Commodus has been killed at this point. We talked about him in previous episodes. Pertinax is assassinated by members of the Praetorian Guard who storm the Imperial Palace. And then the Empire is auctioned off. The Roman Empire was auctioned off. The winner of the auction was Marcus Didius oh boy, what a name. Marcus Didius Julianus, the highest bidder, who offered 300 million sesterces, whatever their stupid coin was back then, 300 million sesterces for the throne. They auctioned off the Roman Empire. That's craziness, right? I mean, had it been on eBay, the starting bid would have been 99 cents. But you would have been able to, just to bid up a little bit at a time. What did they hold up? Usually you hold up whatever you're auctioning off. Did they just put the throne out there? They were like, you're buying a throne and all the stuff that comes with it. That's craziness that they auctioned off the Roman Empire. But that happened in the year 193. So there we go. So today, my guest on the show, like I said, is Eric Mueller from Pirates Press. And this is, we're going a little bit off the reservation here with this episode, but it's going to be fun. Pirates Press is a vinyl pressing company. Vinyl is their sort of core business. And then they do a whole bunch of other stuff. They run a record label. And when we're talking vinyl, we're talking vinyl records, music, bands, the thing, right? And if you've listened to this show for any period of time, you know that music is very near and dear to my heart. That's where all my stuff comes from. And so it was great to talk to Eric. And they've got a very cool operation happening over there in Emeryville, California, just a mere blocks away from Pixar headquarters over there. And so we're going to talk about the modern vinyl record biz. We're going to talk about how they started. Eric started this thing. It's like in his apartment by himself with a laptop, and now they've grown to be one of the world's biggest pressing companies. We're going to talk about the name, why Pirates Press, and how it's become a little bit misrepresentative of what they do, but it's still cool. The return of flexi records and the unique promos that are being done with them and all that kind of good stuff. And we're going to talk about the new releases that they've got coming out. They've got some very cool stuff coming out. So this is not super piratey talk, but still pirate related. And this is a Pirates in the Spirit of Pirates kind of punk rock metal music business kind of thing with Eric Mueller from Pirates Press. So hang in. It's going to be a really fun show. I think you're going to dig it. If you want a little bit of a backroom look at what happens in the music business, we definitely go into that. If you're enjoying the show, and I hope you are, come join us over on Facebook. Facebook.com/Under the Crossbones. On Twitter, we're at Under Crossbones. And make sure that you subscribe in whatever application you are currently listening to this in. Pandora, Spotify, Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. If it's got a podcast, if you're listening to this show right now, just click that subscribe button. You will get the new episodes every Tuesday as soon as they come out. And of course, all the show notes for this episode will be at underthecrossbones.com/193. And there'll be pictures, and there's going to be videos and links and all sorts of good stuff in there. I am back on the road pretty heavy in June. I was hanging around my local area quite a bit in May. June is busy. So coming up, June 7th and 8th, I'll be at DeChico's in Clovis, California. June 13 through 16, I will be at the Pechanga Casino in Temecula, California. That's Father's Day weekend. So bring your dad out to the casino in Temecula. Let him play some blackjack. Bring him to a comedy show. June the 21st, I'll be at Main Street Cafe in Benicia, California. June 22nd, I will be at Comedy Oakland in Oakland, California. And June 29th and 30th, I will be at the Pirate Invasion of Long Beach. Yeah, in Long Beach, California. So at the Pirate Invasion, you'll be able to catch me on the main stage both days, all day long. I'll be emceeing in between bands and playing games with the kids and doing all that kind of stuff. All those other dates are headlining dates where you can come catch me do the long show that we're going to be filming in August in San Diego. So it's going to be loads and loads of fun. To get all the details for those shows, just go to underthecrossbones.com, click on the tour dates button. That'll take you to where you can get all the information for the shows. And yes, coming to see you East Coast later in the year, for sure. Midwest, got you on the calendar too. It's all coming up. Vancouver, Canada, you're on the calendar. We're going to do it up. I got to get some other countries now. I got the US and Canada. I need like Sweden or something. I don't know. If you want to have me come tell jokes in Sweden, let me know. We are sponsored today by the Caleb Kovitz Cuttlefish Casting Agency. Do you need a squid for your next production? Maybe a giant squid to lash out at an enemy ship? Caleb Kovitz has a fantastic cuttlefish named Sid that would be perfect for the part. Or maybe you just need a bunch of little squids to play the part of a dish of calamari. Caleb Kovitz can send over the Inkington family, 12 brothers and sisters that come pre-breaded so that they do not have to spend hours in the makeup chair. Or maybe your production needs somebody real big, like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea big. Then you need to cast the biggest, baddest squid on Caleb's roster. His name's Alan. And if you need a cuttlefish with a strong backbone, then he's your squid. Get in touch today with the Caleb Kovitz Cuttlefish Casting Agency and get a squid with star power. And of course, that's not today's sponsor. That's not even what cuttlefish casting is. It's not that at all. And if you don't know what that is, then listen to last week's show with Rebecca Harris from Silverella, where we actually talk about cuttlefish casting. But that was fun. That was fun for me. I hope it's fun for you. We're actually sponsored today by Scuba Wise Treasure Expeditions, Sunken Treasure Workshop. And seriously, this is like a experience of a lifetime kind of deal. Okay, you're going to get to spend the day with world-renowned treasure hunters down in the Florida Keys, learning how to find sunken treasure on the 1733 fleet of Spanish galleons. Dream trip? What do you say? Yeah, I think so. The trip is family friendly. You can scuba, you can snorkel, you can just join them for the boat ride if you don't want to get in the water. And you're going to explore real sunken Spanish galleons. You're going to see cannons, all sorts of good stuff. Your hosts for the trip are Captain Carl Fismer, world-renowned treasure hunter, who you heard back on this show on episode 108. Captain Bradley Williamson, who you've seen on Expedition Unknown on the Travel Channel, will be there. You heard him in episode 181 of this show. And your dive master for the day is going to be Mark Littleton, who's got 35 years of recovering artifacts from ships like the Andrea Doria, the Pinta, and many, many others. You're going to learn real skills like how to find good shipwrecks to salvage and the legalities of doing so. That's an important part. You'll learn all about the technology of wreck diving, and if you want to go really big, if you want to start your own projects, they will show you how to find the money for a wreck diving project if you want to really go deep into it, all right? You're going to get pictures of your trip included free, a certificate of completion, and you are going to make friends that last a lifetime. So, to get hooked up with this, go to underthecrossbones.com/scuba. It's underthecrossbones.com/scuba. And people from all over the world are doing this trip. It's really not that expensive, and I think you should definitely check it out if you have any interest at all in going to the Florida Keys and diving a real Spanish galleon. All right? This is going to be great for you. It's underthecrossbones.com/scuba. And you can even get a free treasure map just for checking them out. So go to, again, underthecrossbones.com/scuba. Sign up for the Scuba Wise Sunken Treasure Workshop right now. All right? If you want to help support the shows in other ways besides visiting sponsors, that's great of you to do. Go to underthecrossbones.com/support. Right there, there's a little PayPal box where you can drop in a donation of any amount that you feel is appropriate. Maybe, say, the price of a bottle of rum, something like that. There's also an Amazon banner there. You click that Amazon banner, you go buy yourself something nice at Amazon. Screw everybody else. Buy yourself something nice. This doesn't cost you any more. Amazon kicks me back a few shekels if you click that banner on the support page to get there. So that's a big help, and I appreciate it. If you do want to be a sponsor of the show, if you have a product or service that you think would be appropriate for a pirate audience, we can hook that up too. Again, go to underthecrossbones.com/support. All right. Let's do this. Let's get into it. Let's talk some vinyl. We're going to talk some punk rock. We're going to talk some metal. We're going to talk some music business with Eric Mueller of Pirates Press. Check it out. Super. Okay, so here we are. We're at Pirates Press. plural,
Pirates Press.
Right? I just discovered that this morning. I was like, oh, there's an S on it.
Biggest mistake people make.
I'm sure.
The amount of apostrophes that show up in our name is ridiculous.
I'm sure. In Emeryville, which nobody knows what Emeryville is until you say Pixar headquarters.
It's Rotten City. Its nickname goes back to the 1800s as being like a place for vile criminals.
Really?
And all kinds of bootleggers and whores and prostitutes and gambling. And we still have gambling here over at Oaks. You know?
Yeah. Oh, I had no idea it had
There's
that.
even Rotten City Pizza around the corner. Yeah.
Really? I had no idea it had that.
If it's not on the city flag, it should be.
It should be. Yes, it should be. Right next door to Oakland. And so, yeah, very cool. So, Pirates Press, tell us a little bit what Pirates Press does and your function here.
This is our 15th year. We're one of the world's leading vinyl manufacturers primarily. We also do a ton of band merch as well. But the vinyl we make is really what stands apart from everything else and kind of flies the flag, so to speak, around the world with regards to what we do. And we also have a record label called Pirates Press Records, and we put out records ourselves, mostly punk stuff. And basically it serves as an advertisement for the manufacturing company, but at the same time provides a vehicle for a lot of amazing bands to get their records out there to a big audience.
When did you start the company?
In 2004, we started the manufacturing company, and then we started the label a year later.
Okay, so now logic in 2004 would dictate, maybe record manufacturing is not a great business to go to. Because not only, vinyl's at a low point at that point.
Yeah, it was just before the upswing.
Before the upswing, and streaming is just coming in, and MP3 downloads are the big thing. So what made you decide that this was a good business to get into, which obviously it has been?
I've always been a lover of vinyl, and for me, finding something to do for a career that was something that I love was always the most important thing. And, running a label for me was always the dream. And that's never been something I always saw as a financially viable thing. It's not something you start if you don't have money to start one. So the manufacturing thing kind of came into play in a relatively dream situation. And, out of it came the label, so I get the best of both worlds.
So what did the beginnings of that business look like?
Me in a bedroom.
You in a bedroom, okay.
Yeah,
and
a laptop.
And so were you outsourcing your vinyl manufacturer at that point, or how?
Still the same relationships we have today. Okay. All of our vinyl's made in the Czech Republic.
Okay.
It's one of the oldest and the largest vinyl manufacturers in the world. They make the best shit. And since the 80s, when vinyl was starting to kind of disappear, they've still been investing in the future of vinyl, which is what sets them apart from everybody else on the scene.
Okay.
When everybody else was selling off machines and figuring out how to, make CDs the new big thing, they were still investing in better ways of making vinyl, getting vinyl to achieve a better sound quality, streamlining the process of making all the print work with the same manufacturer, adding new kinds of colored vinyl, things like that. And even when vinyl was at its lowest point, we were still one of the biggest manufacturers, the factory in the Czech Republic.
Sure.
So representing them and acting like their sales and customer service department is essentially what we do, with a huge level of project management on top of that, and creativity and all kinds of other experience that we lend to the process that allow people to get more out of that relationship.
Right.
So we provide this huge benefit to the factory and have done since 2004. Nothing about that relationship has changed, except the fact that vinyl is way more popular now, and we're making way more of it, and the product itself is way cooler because it's challenging people to make cool shit.
Right. Why did they stick with vinyl? Was it still a viable market there more than other things?
That and pride.
Okay.
I think they always took a lot of pride in their operation, in the product that they were making. And the factory itself is based in a village that's about 20 minutes outside of Prague. That's about 2,000 people live in the village. And traditionally, a huge majority of the people actually work at the factory. So it's really old school in that sense. And they hung on to vinyl in an old school way, knowing that there will always be a market for it. Because even at its lowest point, you still had punks and metalheads and even a few other people making records, and the market for picture discs was kind of still always there.
Sure, yeah.
And they supplemented it. I mean, they were the first factory in Europe to make a CD.
Oh, wow.
And, DVDs, they were right on the cutting edge of making DVDs as well.
Okay.
All the new kinds of print work that's being done, they're hip to all of it. And so they're making money with both hands, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it allows them to keep vinyl as strong as it can be given the market. And at times it was low, and now it's really strong, and that's why all the investment that they're making gives us this huge arsenal of like products that we can offer that really make us the best vinyl manufacturer in the world.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. It strikes me, and that's sort of the punk metal ethos is, I don't know, it's cool. We're going to keep doing it, you know, whether it makes money or not, you know.
For a lot of people, vinyl or physical product in general is like the connection to the artist. So like you can go spend your $10 and listen to a million records on Spotify or on Apple Music or whatever, and you may have a sense that some of that money is going to end up in the pocket of the artist, but
fractions of pennies.
A lot of people don't think anything more of that. But then there's a huge segment of people who are into music and involved in scenes, whether they make music, put on shows, are friends with people who do those things, whatever. They feel like a deeper connection to music. And so for a long time, buying a record and taking $10 or $20 out of your wallet and putting it on the counter or giving it to a band for a piece of music was the way to consume music. And so there's a tradition there that people definitely still want to uphold. And that connection to the band, even if people are now buying records online, that same connection is not like it's not a physical one. It's an emotional one. And that's really why vinyl's never gone away. It's the emotional connection people have to vinyl. For some people, it's that connection to the band, like I just said. And for other people, it's like nostalgic. It's like their parents had records. They grew up listening to their kids' music on records. And they inherited their parents' record collection and then started collecting their own and like that kind of thing. And that's so common regardless of the kind of music you listen to. When you just talk about people in their 20s and 30s and 40s and stuff, that happened.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? I'm slowly selling off my vinyl collection because I don't even own a turntable anymore. And this will kill you. I sold my copy of Sign of the Times, Prince, double album, right? Sold it for a good chunk of money, and the post office destroyed it on the way to the guy that bought it. That was one of the ones I was having trouble parting with in the first place, and then they destroyed it, and I was like, no, come on.
There's only about 4 million stories about the USPS doing that to records, or like even like the post office in England has a great track record as well. But speaking ill will of them, there's got to be a karma thing there, and we send out way too many records. Like, we love our post people; they're the best.
Yes, I just saw somebody this morning complaining about the UK Post. Because they didn't get their new Wild Hearts album, and they were very upset about it.
We literally had a record folded in half and put through a mail slot in December.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's such a delicate piece of work, you know, the vinyl. So we were talking a little bit about the name before we pressed record, but tell me about the name and how you came across Pirates Press.
Well, the name was just kind of decided upon on a whim. When I first started making records, I was doing it for another company using the same factory in the Czech Republic. And it was for a really short period of time because the owner of that company wasn't somebody that I saw eye to eye with on. And he and I had a little disagreement at one point, and I decided I was going to start my own company. And most of the clients that I had were my friends and people that I knew and had brought to the table. So bringing them on board with my company, in a sense, had that pirate gonna do it for yourself DIY kind of feel. So it just made sense. And then, you know, a year in, it was still cool. We were going with the punk, like, this is pirate, you know, Pirates Press is the independent manufacturer, that kind of thing. And, you know, people saw it and people grabbed hold of it. And then, you know, 5 years later, we're working with all the major labels. 10 years later, we're pressing 3-4 million records a year with the name Pirates Press. And we're like, shit, we're totally stuck at this point. But at the same time, like, our name doesn't represent what we do because we don't press bootlegs. We don't press illegal shit. We are as legit as it comes and as big as it gets, really, when it comes down to it in the field of vinyl manufacturers. And we have a name that's Pirates Press. Like, it's hilarious for everybody else in the industry to an extent, and even for us. But, like, the fans still love it. Like, everybody loves a pirate. Like, everybody's kids would rather wear a shirt that says pirate something than so-and-so record. It doesn't make a difference. At this point, we've made a name for ourselves. And, like, we're just going with it. We love it. We love pirates. That's part of why we came up with it in the first place.
Sure.
So,
yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. So you guys, I mean, you do vinyl, but you also do CDs and you do other kinds of merch and things like that. How did you start to branch out from there?
It's kind of a natural, organic process in a sense, because running a record label isn't just about making records. We are really good at making records and make the best records, but hand in hand with that, we're dealing with people who need a lot of other stuff.
Sure.
And we ourselves make merch and CDs and DVDs and stuff for our record label. So we need a source for that. So using the same model in terms of a business sense as the way we make records, it made sense to make CDs as well.
Sure.
So, we make millions of CDs a year at this point, and a lot of it being really high-end packaging type stuff, like books and box sets and really, really high-end packaging, not just like jewel cases and your average stuff that gives people a reason to buy a physical product that they could otherwise download on Amazon or Apple or Netflix or whatever. Like, it's important these days to give people a reason to break out a wallet and pay for something that they don't necessarily need to pay for to get the content from, you know? And I think that's our main goal. And the same thing goes with like all the merchandising stuff. Some of it, what we make is promotional that ends up being given away. Some of it's sold, and the stuff that's sold, like, T-shirts and things like that. Again, it's just like the records. It's a connection for people to whatever's being advertised, whether it's a band or a brewery or a coffee company or whatever. And so because we've developed all the relationships with the people who make all of our stuff through music, we're able to offer the same like great prices and relationships and deals to local businesses. So we do a lot of local business with regards to like T-shirts and branded merchandise for, bars and restaurants and coffee shops and breweries and things like that. Just because we're not trying to gouge people. It's not our main business. We keep the lights on selling records. So being able to kind of get our name out there and be a bigger player in our community is important too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's funny because there is that connection with the art. I sell more merch at my merch table after the shows than I sell anywhere online. And I'll have people come back the next year and they're like, yeah, we had to come see you again. Yeah, we bought your CD last year. We haven't listened to it yet, but man, it was cool to see you. It's a souvenir.
It is really important to support bands and artists that way. When you have the opportunity to give them money, either for a product or for a performance. And it's cash money that you're handing them, and there are no middlemen between you and them other than maybe some dude standing behind a folding table. That is your best opportunity to support a musician or an artist, because in today's world, like all the digital shit that you're all consuming, all the music and YouTube videos and stuff, people aren't seeing more than a fraction of a penny on that stuff. Tiny. And so if you appreciate what these people are doing, like that's your way to support them and show them. Like the artists that we put out on the record label have no expectation of making any money off of iTunes or through even their vinyl sales. The way they can make money is by becoming popular and getting an opportunity to perform their art for 300 to 500 people or more a night, and then sell them a T-shirt. Because that's real money. That's career money. And if you can achieve that through your art being good and a vehicle by somebody promoting you to do that, then there you go. That's the way to succeed in today's world. Otherwise, if you just put stuff out and throw it up on Amazon, you're screwed. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. The merch table, people have no idea how important that is. I pay all my travel costs on the road from the merch table, and I'm paying for my next special from the merch table.
It's no different than any band.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. This building is pretty amazing. It looks less like a record plant and more like a citadel. So how did you come across this place, and how long have you been here?
We've been here for about 3 years. We moved over from Potrero Hill in San Francisco. We had a pretty epic warehouse over there, but this place is about 5 times the size. And like you said, it looks like a library or like a fort or something like that. And we were kind of lucky in a sense, found it online and pulled off a small business loan to buy it and moved over here. And essentially what we're paying now here in mortgage is relatively no different than what we'd be paying if we'd stuck in that spot in Potrero Hill paying rent to somebody else. So it's been a fantastic move over here. We love the city of Emeryville. It's like being in a city and a small town at the same time, because it is such a small city. Like, we can get anything done really quick. And like, the building itself is awesome. It's super old school. We filled it with all kinds of awesome pirate stuff and vinyl.
You got pirate
stuff.
pinball machines and jukeboxes and pool tables and a couple skeletons sitting around, of course.
We even we have a flag up top on the roof.
Yes.
And we threw our Pirates Press flag on there, a big 5 foot by 8 foot Pirates Press flag. And we got a complaint because according to the city of Emeryville laws, you're not allowed to put a corporate flag on a building. And we got the complaint from the city. They called and we're like, so we can put a Jolly Roger on the roof and that's fine? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. And we're like, cool. So we went online and found the biggest Jolly Roger we could possibly find and threw that up there instead. And we've been flying that since. I think we're on the 6th or 7th one in 3 years because we got a hell of a lot of wind around here.
Sure, yeah, coming right off the bay. Yeah, it was funny because I was watching people as I got here a little bit early. I was just walking around the street and I watched people walk by and what the hell is that place? They just were looking at it like, why is there a pirate flag on top of that place?
It's much better at night because one of the doors out front has a glow-in-the-dark skeleton in it.
Oh, nice.
Like an actual one, not just a 2D one.
Yeah.
And so you walk by and you think it's just this dark building and you look in there in the dark hallway, there's a glow-in-the-dark skeleton.
That's great. So in starting a record label, I mean, if there's anything that is nearly as hard as being an artist in this industry, it's being a record label. So at what point the decision to start a label, was that to add to what you were doing, or was it just because that was the original dream?
I think the gut emotion or the feeling that kind of triggered it was the sense that we had already pressed hundreds and hundreds of thousands of records for other people.
Yeah.
And we just had the itch, to be able to design your own thing and release your own thing and promote your own thing is, it's natural. And I put out some DIY records back in the day under different names and stuff, but it was very much DIY.
Yeah.
And now given the opportunity to do it right, it was kind of made sense to do it in a way where we were able to show off our manufacturing capabilities. The first thing we did on the label was a 6 picture disc box set.
Wow.
It wasn't let's dip our feet in the water.
Yeah.
It was let's jump in head first.
Yeah.
So we got 12 tattoo artists each to design 2 pieces of art. So there was a cool poster involved and everything. It was pretty awesome. And, from there, it wasn't about competing with labels by putting out full lengths and really acting like a record label that a band would depend on as their or their source for promotion.
Sure.
It was more about being a collector's label and creating really cool limited edition vinyl that showed off the vinyl that we were really making.
Right.
And then as we went, we did well with it and people received it well and the product was nice and we were breaking even. There's no money really to be made in a record label these days. Yeah. But you can break even. Right. And if you love it, that's enough. And for us, between being able to break even on most things and have the manufacturing company as the back end allows us to fulfill that creative dream of having a record label. And in doing so, helping all of our friends, all the people we love as musicians, as artists, have that vehicle to do more with what they're doing. And for some bands, it's putting out full lengths and helping them, connect with other people to tour and do it right and try and make a career out of it, so to speak. And then for other bands, it's just once every couple of years putting out a collectible record to highlight the fact that they play locally 30 times a year. And, and it's a real big variety. And the music itself is a little bit of a variety too, kind of every subgenre of punk is totally taken care of. Then there's some ska, there's some reggae, there's some thrash. There's some different things on the fringes that people love, because I think the biggest thing we've done is really just curate a wide variety of music that is accessible. The stuff that's more on the metal or thrashy side that we put out is not so metal and so thrashy that people who only listen to punk won't like it.
Okay.
And the stuff that we do that's reggae related is not new school stoner reggae. It's 60s reggae, which has a huge tie-in with the punk scene.
Sure.
And a lot of punks listen to that stuff. Yeah. And, there's just a lot of tie-ins, even though there's so much diversity within the catalog. That's the main thing. And then, artistically, we've done our best to create like a vision of what a label can do in terms of how cool all the releases can look, so that our customers on the manufacturing side can see what, after they've put out 200 releases, what their label can look like. They can take that larger vision and apply it to their own goals, which we benefit from on the manufacturing side, and by way of also benefit from on the label side. So it's really cyclical in that sense.
Oh yeah, I can see that. How? What kind of? I can't imagine you're doing like 360 deals with these bands or anything like that. So I mean, what kind of support do you put behind those records?
It's a lot of handshake, friendship agreements, and we don't own pretty much any of the music we release. What we're doing is essentially licensing it from the artists, so they maintain ownership. And the deals are all in the band's favors because we need to recoup our costs of doing the admin, the accounting and things like that, and recoup costs of manufacturing. But like I said, we're keeping the lights on from the manufacturing side of the business. And this is the love. And what we're really doing is creating a vehicle for these artists. So if they're sacrificing things on their end, if they're getting in a van for 150 days a year, I don't need to be an equal partner with them. They can take a lion's share of that profit, and I can do my job promoting them in a way that both does them justice and also helps pirates.
Nice. Now this building is colossal. What kind of? I mean, do you do any of the manufacturing here, or what else are you doing in the giant green part of the building over there?
We don't. We on the manufacturing side, we import a lot of records every week and then turn them around and ship them out to a lot of different places. So we warehouse this stuff for our record label, the Backstock, because we do a lot of our own distribution as well to cut out middlemen. But for the manufacturing side, the records arrive from the Czech Republic on a Monday and ship out on a Tuesday for the most part, which we need quite a bit of space for. And then in addition to that, we've got all of our pirate hobbies here too. We've got a little practice space for the pirates who have bands, so they don't have to pay somewhere else to keep their stuff and play. It's a big enough space where they can rock out till 10 o'clock at night, and nobody's going to complain, you know? So
every good rehearsal studio is in an industrial area.
Exactly. There's a couple guys with motorcycle collections, and they keep their stuff and tinker with things here. And you know, we've got a little gym for everybody here, and you know, we just try and create an environment that's fun for everybody, because a big part of our company is creating kind of a family feel. And it's not a big company in terms of how many people work here. There's 30 of us globally. There's about 15 of us in this office. But we all get together socially. Everybody really gets along, and we're all part of the same circles and scenes and things like that. So for us to have kind of a clubhouse is important too. You know, we're sitting in a room that has, you know, cool pirate pinball machines and a pool table with a Pirates logo and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But there's also like a toy chest for kids and like a Thomas the Train table and like 14 pirate skeletons around the corner. And, you know, it's fun, and we all have a good time with what we do, because that's a huge part of making it sustainable.
It's almost, it kind of strikes me as like if a Silicon Valley company actually remained punk instead of just thinking they are.
I suppose. You know, they have more money though, because, you know, at the end of the day, we're not selling widgets in the millions. You know what I mean? Like whatever all those companies are selling, when they're getting like patents and they're getting like IP payments, royalty payments on things that they're selling to 10 different apps, which are each getting sold to 2 million people, and they're getting $1 like that's a lot of money to throw around. Like the music industry has no cash flow anymore. Like the streaming thing has completely taken it all away, because whereas you used to spend $10 checking out a band that you might be interested in, that somebody might recommend, and you'd go buy a CD or a record or whatever, and you'd drop $10 and see what it's like. Nowadays, you don't spend anything. Maybe the band is getting a fraction of a penny. And when you look at it in the big picture, like, or even the middle picture, like for a small label, if we have a new record coming out from a local band, if we'd put that record out in like 1999 or even, you know, even a little bit later than that, we'd have tens of thousands of dollars of revenue from sales of CDs and vinyl to invest in promotions, to invest in helping a band go tour, things like that. That's not there anymore.
Yeah.
That, like, if you sold 5,000 CDs at $10 a piece or even at $5 a piece, you're talking about a lot of money.
Right.
And you'd need millions of streams to add up to that kind of money.
Right.
And so there's just no money in it left anymore. Like, the labels that are really succeeding have a brand and they're all established. You don't see new labels popping up and doing really well.
Not really. No.
Like, you see established labels doing well because people still trust that Epitaph brand or that Fat Records brand.
Right. Yeah.
Or for people more in the mainstream, that Universal brand or Warner brand.
Oh, God help
like me. Whatever you're into, though, right? Like,
I can't imagine going, oh, Universal made this record? Well, it must be good.
It depends what age you are. It depends what you're into, right? We at Pirates cater to all types. Like, we will happily make, 50,000 Prince picture discs right alongside a black metal box set.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's about the future of vinyl.
Which of the Prince picture discs did you make?
We've done Purple Rain like a few times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm a giant Prince dork. That's cool. So, I mean, what other kind of projects have you guys done here that people would know? Is there?
We've pressed records for all the major labels for quite some time. So we've had our hands in records but by just about everybody in terms of like all the big names.
Okay.
Your Madonnas and your Metallicas and your White Stripes and that kind of stuff. I like to brag about the cooler stuff that has more to do with like stuff only we make.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And like
what's that?
We did the Flexi records that we made.
I was going to ask you about
we
those.
actually brought those back to life. We built machines to make those from scratch in 2010. And, I think it was about 5 years in, we made these amazing Flexies for Third Man Records, which may or may not have been an idea that originated in our office, but I'm so glad they did it, and it is the coolest idea, and I hope more people end up doing it, which is sending them out to fans across the world along with a balloon and asking people to send them up into the air at the same time and tracking the ones that are found.
Yes.
And that was super, super cool.
Yeah.
In terms of like piratey stuff and global and the seas and like that to me is like, it shows how universal and global vinyl can be, and like that's so cool.
I totally remember that. Yeah. So Flexies, for those who don't remember, are they're plastic essentially.
Yeah,
and they
they're
used to come in
sheets
magazines
of plastic.
And stuff. Yeah,
they used to be called sound sheets sometimes, or flexi discs.
Yeah,
and they were really popular in the 80s and even in the early 90s. They were huge in Japan for a while. But in the mid 90s, the company that was making them, the last company to make them in Florida, went out of business and basically destroyed their machines or they disappeared. And the people who were making them, who had that knowledge base of how they were made, had passed away by the time we started looking into it.
Wow.
And so we really had to go at it from scratch. And we designed 3 machines that did it and actually moved the operation over to our factory in the Czech Republic in 2013, because we had an order for 450,000 Flexi postcards, which are actually those records, those same type of records, but printed or pressed and printed on cardboard or on paper.
Crazy.
And it was for the company who prints all of the money in Europe. And it was for Queen's Day in Holland. The Queen had stepped down and they were introducing a new holiday. So we made 450,000 Flexi postcards with the national anthem on them. And the center popped out and was a €5 postage stamp. And because of all the security that would have been needed over on this end to make that order here and transport it there, it was actually cheaper for us to move our whole operation to Europe.
I'm sure.
And just have it overseen there.
Wow.
So we moved everything over there. Now, like, we're just off to the races. We're making like 3 times as many per day as we made using those same machines when they were in our office. Just using all the knowledge that, like, our factory, who has 60 years worth of knowledge pressing actual records, has. Like, they were able to just improve so many things, and the quality is awesome. We now make picture flexies, which are actually flexies made on clear material with full color printing on the back.
Okay.
So they appear to be full color with grooves on them, which is incredible. And you can actually leave parts of it transparent, which, like, for an artist, it's a total dream. We've done like 50 of them. If you go to piratespress.com or piratespressrecords.com, you can see a million examples. They're really, really cool. And it's kind of the new thing because they're like a baseball card for vinyl geeks.
Right.
Because they're really cheap to make. And they sound good and they look really cool. So labels are starting to issue like series of them. So you can collect them, and they're like used as promo, but also as collectibles. And it's really, really a cool product.
They were notoriously terrible sounding. So
these are not.
Your new process.
Yeah, if you played one of these compared to one of our normal 7 inches, unless you're playing it on really hi-fi gear, you probably couldn't tell the difference.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And that sounds like fun to have some of those made. I did a contest with my fans last year to help me name the character in a song. I was singing a song under an assumed character name with an altered voice and things like that. And so I said, help me name this character, and I'll send you a vinyl copy, a vinyl 45 of the song. And so I think I got it done somewhere in Eastern Europe. It wasn't in the Czech Republic. It was somewhere else.
When you finish your new set, when you finish finalizing it, let's make something.
We might have to do that.
Let's do a promo flexi. You can give them away at shows and put a donation jar next to them. We've had bands take these flexis out and basically put a coffee jar next to them with a sign with an arrow pointing up that says gas money and an arrow pointing down that says free flexi. And they've been getting more than $1 a flexi in terms of counting the ones they give away and what people are generously giving them.
Right.
They only cost 50 cents a piece, though.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, it's probably, and that's the thing. I do that at my shows too. I've got basically a greatest hits CD that's on the table with my DVDs and T-shirts and things like that. Because you don't want to give them too much choice at the merch table; they don't buy anything. So I did like a greatest hits disc, and I do it as a donation basis, and I sell way more of them.
Yeah.
Than if I said, "Hey, that CD's $5," and they go, that's all right. But if I go, give me whatever you want for it, they average $5 to $8. And they cost a fraction of that to make, and so that's a really good way to go. And I keep trying to tell my other artist friends, I'm like, do a donation disc, and they're like, nah, I don't want to. I want to. The people will give you a quarter. I'm like, yeah, once in a while a dude's going to give you a quarter.
People hate stupid free stuff, but when you give them cool free stuff, they turn around and get real generous sometimes too. Like bands will give out these flexis, and then the person's next move is literally saying thank you, turning and going to the merch table and buying a T-shirt. Right. And being like, I have to support them now. Yeah. Which is awesome. Yeah. And everybody wins, really.
Yeah, reciprocity. It works. Yep. Was it Cialdini? What was that guy's name? Do you know that author? Robert Cialdini. I forget the name of his book. But anyway, reciprocity is one of his big marketing concepts in it. But that's cool. So what do you have coming out soon that you're excited about?
We have a new album by the Agrolites coming out soon, who are an absolutely amazing band. Great. Yeah. It's like if James Brown's voice was implanted into a 60s reggae band that's got a little bit of a punk vibe. Yeah. And if you haven't heard them, please check them out. They're really cool. They've been around for 15, 20 years at this point, and their stuff's incredible, but this new record is amazing. Nice. And then the new record we're actually releasing on the 10th is by Charger, who are really making waves here in the Bay Area. They're like a 3-piece, and the bassist is Matt Freeman from Rancid, who is head and shoulders one of the best bassists ever. And this band is essentially a musical challenge that he and Jason Mueller, the drummer, who's a local very, very talented drum teacher, and he's been in a ton of amazing bands, but the two of them kind of challenged themselves to produce these songs that were in the vein of Motorhead and Black Sabbath and Maiden and all these bands that were a big part of the roots that like made them who they are musically, but do it in a way that's unique.
Okay.
And they brought Andrew McGee in, who is also somebody who's been in some really amazing bands. And the three of them just produced 7 songs off the bat that are just turning people's heads left and right. And
Really?
it's people in metal, people in punk, people in thrash and crust, all over the scene. People are just freaking out, and it's kind of for good reason. Like it fills a void, like where like Motorhead is no longer.
Okay, yeah.
And for a lot of people, they're one of those bands. Motorhead were one of those bands that, like, if you were into metal, like even though they were a punk band, they were cool.
Yeah.
And if you were into punk, even though they were a metal band, they were cool.
Yeah.
And like everybody just loves Motorhead and
Yeah.
like loves those crossover bands. People are going to be looking at Charger in exactly the same way. And they're not just biting Motorhead or like creating this same vibe. It is a really unique sound, and it's really, really cool.
And it is so hard to innovate within those styles, to really do something different, because it's all kind of been done. You know, I'm excited to hear it.
Exactly. Yeah. And the logo's pretty evil and piratey too.
Okay, cool. Nice. Very cool. So where online is a good place for people to contact you about work they need done, or find out what releases you have coming out, that kind of thing?
Obviously, all the social media platforms, it's really easy to find us on. Pirates Press and Pirates Press Records are the two names of the company. And then the websites are also really intuitive. Pirates Press and piratespressrecords.com. And you can find all the news there and links to the web store for all the releases that we do and all the pirate merch and all that stuff.
Great. Fantastic. Eric, thank you for your time today and for having me come visit your nice place here. And it was just great. Is there anything I didn't ask you about you want everybody to know?
No. When's your next show in the area?
I'm going to Marysville tonight. As soon as I walk out your door, I have to drive up there. And I don't know. I know I've got some San Francisco and Oakland shows coming up, but I'll have announced that before I even play this interview. So
awesome. We'll have to bring a bunch of pirates out, heckle you.
There you go. Very cool, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there it is, friends. That was my talk with Eric Mueller from Pirates Press. And of course, you can find them at piratespress.com. Pirates with an S. Or Pirates Press Records is their record label. And they do a whole bunch of cool stuff. All the show notes for this episode will be at underthecrossbones.com/193. And on there, I'll have some pictures of their place and links to the Agrolites and Charger, both the bands that Eric was talking about. I listened to a bit this morning. Good stuff. If you like some reggae, like 60s style reggae, that's the Agrolites for you. And if you like your Motorhead style punk metal, dig into some Charger. It's good stuff. Did you hear something in the episode, in our talk, that you would wanted to jump in on, add your 2 cents to, argue with us on, whatever that may be? You can do that. Come over to Facebook, facebook.com/underthecrossbones. We'll be talking about the episode there, and you can feel free to jump in and add your 2 pence. 2 pence? 2 pence. Your 2 pence. I got British all of a sudden. Add your 2 doubloons to the mix there, kids. Yeah, why not? Why not? We'll be British today. We can do that. We're sponsored today by Pirate Radio of the Treasure Coast, WKKC-DB, playing the best music of today's hits and yesterday's classics. And Pirate Radio Talk, playing the best pirate shows, including Under the Crossbones. That's this show. All 24/7 and all commercial free. To listen, go to pirateradiothetreasurecoast.com or pick up the Pirate Radio WKKC-DB app in your favorite app store. That's the music station. Or for the talk station, go to pirateradiotc.com or grab the Pirate Radio Talk app in your favorite app store. And of course, you can also ask your Alexa or Google device, because it's always listening to you. You can say, "Hey, Alexa, play Pirate Radio The Treasure Coast," or play Under the Crossbones, and it'll do that for you, as well as listen to your family fights. We don't know what they're doing with that. Anyway, you can ask your Alexa and Google devices to play the show for you and play Pirate Radio The Treasure Coast. It's all brought to you by iTreasure Radio, the very best digital media from independently owned stations at iTreasureRadio.com. I got an ebook for you. It's Alexander Exquemelin's Pirates of Panama or Buccaneers of America, whichever title you prefer. It's out there under both. This is a book that was originally written in 1678. Alexander Exquemelin was a doctor who ended up on pirate ships and wrote about his firsthand encounters on said pirate ships. And I've got a free, cool little ebook version for you. So go to underthecrossbones.com, click on the free ebook link right at the top there, and you can grab that right there for yourself. And that is our show for today. Thank you once again for tuning in. I appreciate it every single time. Don't forget to go visit Eric and the crew over at piratespress.com. All the show notes for this episode are at underthecrossbones.com/193. And if you have a suggestion for a guest that you would like to hear on the episode, whether that be yourself or somebody else, you can let me know. Let me know. Send me an email. phil@underthecrossbones.com is the email address. And we will we'll see what we can do about it for sure. And I don't have anybody in the can just yet. I don't know who's going to be on next week's show, but I've got a whole bunch of interviews lined up. So after I get through those this week, I'll have a better idea of what's coming up next week. But I guarantee you it's going to be good because I got some cool people on the calendar. All right. So again, show notes underthecrossbones.com/193. And I will see you next week.